main silver bullet of this is that we haven't had to change anything.
These screenshots as well, that I've got in front of me here, the before and afters are genuinely ridiculous.
When you look around the entire industry and the premise by which systems are built upon, there's so much adding and deleting and changing going on, right? Between me and you, if I was a student learning elsewhere, it'd be too much for me to take in.
What I love about this is that it's not compromised risk, nothing else has changed, it's still everything that we do, top-down analysis, but in the right moments, different side by side. Even when you just factor in the refinement of the trades they've already taken, it's phenomenal. Today I want to talk to you about this strategy refinement. So I've been getting a lot of questions through all social media platforms, and I thought I will talk to you about it in an episode because visually you'll have more of an understanding as to why. When we talk about refinements, you don't want to be caught into this trap of just refining for the sake of refining. Remember, in this game, you don't just want to be a good trader. I've met many good traders, they don't succeed. You want to be exceptional. This is where traders go wrong. They refine for the sake of refining, and they've got no idea what refining is. They'll go from one system to another and think that's refinement. They don't ever master anything, and then what happens is there's missing gaps and missing levels in their foundations. Why is this important? Well, think of it like this. If you don't get really great at something, or you're not at that exceptional level, you'll always think there's something else, and there'll be something right under your nose that you just miss out. You miss out all these important bits of information that you think that were basic, but you missed out on so many things. And I've seen really capable, smart, intelligent people, smart traders, very organized, very structured people still fail. And then other people with the same resources break through that are now trading multiple six figures and doing very, very well, moving towards seven figures. Same resource, same strategy, different mentality, different mindsets. Pound Aussie yesterday, by the way, again, this is without refinement, 8%, right? 8% is pretty much a day. So just that alone, there was no refinement needed. There was actually some extra trades in here, which would have added on this one, I believe, an extra 9%, right? So would have been a very, very solid day. However, the focus for this is actually nothing to do with returns. So how long have I been trading this particular refinement? Over a year and a half now. I've been testing it, trading it, and incrementally scaling up on capital to make sure. For me, it's very important, right? For the community, I want to prioritize and make sure that as long as our risk is the same, right? It's nothing fancy, very simple. I mean, someone would call this basic. Well, I'm happy with the basic 8% in a day, right? And I'm sure you are as well. But the reality is, there's nothing fancy. It's very simple. There is no over complication to this refinement, but what it does is it complements the top-down analysis of what we're already doing, which what I love about it. Most strategies, if you're going to increase returns, because listen, you can just do a tight stop loss. You catch a few trades, naturally you're going to have a bigger risk reward, and if you hit the trade, then you bank the reward. However, at what cost, right? If you compromise your risk. What I have figured out is that you can keep your risk the same, and then sometimes actually in a better scenario, the 1% losses, not every single one because you can't avoid every loss, but a lot of these 1% losses have then factored into break even. So even when you look back through the trades, because this is how the refinement came to me, it was not so much the losses that could be break evens. It wasn't just the wins that could be the wins. It was also the ones that had the potential to be a really great position, those ones that just don't shape up. Listen, every system has them. Nothing is perfect. But it was those ones, like pound yen, for example. I'm just going to quickly go to this before I go into these screenshots, right? So just quickly, guys, if you're enjoying the content that we put out on the channel, make sure that you stay in the loop by commenting, subscribing to the channel, turn the notifications bell on so you're always in the loop of the content that we're pushing out on a regular basis. We appreciate the support, and make sure you utilize the resources that we put out. So check all the links in the description. They will help you out massively on your trading journey. Right, now back to the video. So pound yen. A good example was, this one. This is a simple one, and there's many as well. So that was a 10% position. The time frame is lower. It's not on these time frames we've got here, but again, this type of refinement can be really overused. The content, this is coming out in Q2, by the way. So for those of you that are wondering, if you're a Falcon student, you'll know about this. In Q2, this content is coming out black and white. You know when to use it, when not to use it. And what I encourage, if you are a Falcon student, get your foundations in place. Myself, Abdu, Ibi, we've been trading this, testing this. It is phenomenal once you know how to use it. However, simple one, 10% here. There was other trades. So this was the area. So why is this one important, right? Forget about the 10% right now. Don't think about the 10%. Focus on the previous structure so you can understand why I refined in the first place. Remember, look at what I've done over the years. I didn't even entertain this refinement because this was out of instinct. I've been trading over 14 years now. I didn't even entertain this refinement until I'd mastered what? Mastered the other time frames and everything else first. Where what other people do is that they have no foundations and they want to start building the roof already, right? It's not going to hold up. It's going to collapse. And when it does, it might not collapse in a year, it might not in 2, but eventually when it does, it will destroy you emotionally, financially, everything. But again, more so to the structure. So I was looking for a trade roughly in this type of area. I was looking for a pullback play there and we was going to look for continuation. Natural, really simple. Sometimes they don't run. This is what led me to it. It was not so right. How can I squeeze returns? How can I make my losses better? That's all well and good, but you have to reach a point where you're not just refining for the sake of it and then you overthink things. But it was the ones where they didn't really pull back to the area that I was looking for and they still went on in line with the higher time frame that I already had that idea with. This one is an example. So this was actually a missed trade. This was a trade that I would have taken all day long. So this was underneath this particular structure. And then there was another one there, but again, that was no refinement needed, but you could have refined that for extra percentage. So we would have been talking roughly about for 4%, but I already know with a refinement in there, once you know what you're actually looking for, probably would have been about 8-ish, maybe a little bit more. However, that's not important at this stage. Again, a great example of there's more than one trade, there's more than one option. The trading industry has changed now. Before, it was flooded with indicators. It's now gone from indicators to time frames and risk reward. They're obsessed with it and not realizing the risks of slippage, elections, and if you're caught on the wrong side, playing with the wrong stake size, it can end very badly. So this was pound Oz. Nice simple play, nothing fancy about it. From a refinement point of view, there was more to it. So this was an 8% position. Very, very solid, no refinement needed. But what did it follow, right? So this is the angle that I want you to understand as to why I done this in the first place. I wanted to make sure that it was in line with everything that we're doing. So if we approach this, again, basic, you call it basic all you want. Basic is good. Mastery is not doing complicated things. If it was about complexity, we'd have 15 different indicators and then you would need all these fancy reasons to make a decision. Stop listening to people that are no longer, they're not even successful yet, and they're giving your opinion on what strategy you should trade. These people are not qualified to give you advice at this stage. So make sure you're really mindful of the information that you're following on a regular basis. But look at this. This is a very simple thing that most of you can understand regardless of how you trade. What do we have? We have a double bottom. The double bottom pushes to the upside. You've got great candle shape formation if that's what you're interested in as well. Indication to move towards this next high. So we're looking for a buy at this stage. Then we move to the lower time frames. We work our way down, right? We assess the structure, the candle shape formation. Yeah, we have that. From a pattern identification point of view, we've got this as well. So you also have, again, simple, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, right? So we've got this formation here, really simple. You've got inverse head and shoulders, nothing complicated, right? We move out of this structure. Then we have another structure that we recognize to be able to take that as a continuation with our bigger target here, but you might not, get the full extent of it. You might not hold all the way through the pullback, which I didn't for, different reasons from a management perspective that those of you that trade the system will know. Right, so you got that one entry, which is just a real simple. There was nothing fancy about it whatsoever, but everything was layered, right? The reason for this trade was built up in here. I might make 8% in a day. I might not make anything for the week. I might lose for the week. I might have -2, but it doesn't mean anything. I might not take a trade for the week, but I might take 3 trades in a week. And that is the flexibility that I was always after. I don't want to be stuck by the charts all day long. Sometimes the market takes 3 or 4 days to develop. Use that time to have your freedom and enjoy yourself. That's the whole point in trading, right? Did you get involved in trading to just sit there all day and just trade for 8-9 hours a day? Probably not, right? So think about sustainability. However, so I was waiting 2 areas. This area for the buy or above. There was the entry here, which would have added about another 9%. Of course, we have this entry and we have this entry. This one would have been a break even, so we would have had 2 wins and a break even, and then if you really want a break even but less likely to take that position, that just helped from a management perspective as to where to move it as we got a little bit more aggressive with the price. So that was solid. So really 1, 2, 3, 4 positions, right? So you would have had 2 break-evens, 2 wins, and in total, roughly about 16, 17% if you got all of them, right? But you're not always going to get every trade, but that's good because you don't need to. Those that are inconsistent, I mean, maybe you've been in Falcon before and you for whatever reason you didn't find consistency. Big chance is that you didn't give it enough time, didn't really understand it enough, and didn't do the work. That is the reality. And the reason as to why is because you got people in all parts of the world, in different countries that don't know each other, with the same resources that you have or that you had, and have made it happen, right? So extreme ownership needs to come into place. The system is battle tested, right? It's more about your understanding. Sometimes you're just not emotionally mature, and this is not to put the emphasis on other people. This is important for your own growth. The last thing you want, now I've had this before, where someone has traded another system, not done well, and all they're interested in doing is bad mouthing the other strategy, versus maybe taking a look at yourself and saying, if you traded something for 3 months or 6 months or even a year sometimes, but you passively learned the strategy, however you was trading, you didn't put in the work, how on earth have you got the audacity to then complain to me about something that you didn't put the work in? This is the mindset that most traders have. And all they're interested in saying, oh, that didn't work, that didn't work, so now I'm trying this. How about you didn't work? What about, did you give a guarantee? You wanted guarantee returns, but you yourself didn't give your own guarantee that you was going to put maximum work ethic in to actually learn. Because most of the time, these traders, they haven't even got good foundations, which showed me if they were learning a good strategy prior, they would have put the work in and given it more time. However, people just want the quick, instant, we understand the way the world is at the moment. That's the reality. But in trading, you've got to be mindful of that. This was the thought process leading up to all of this. I wanted to make sure if I'm going to roll this out for the community and they're going to be able to trade it, need to do it at scale. It needs to be simple. It needs to be in line with what we're already doing and not just a refinement for the sake of it. The returns are literally ridiculous, unmatched. So a few here. So we've got CAD yen, right? These are just extras, right? You won't understand the entry from the screenshot itself, but I'm just giving you an example. So this is a 5.3, really, really simple. There was another entry prior, well, 2 actually entries just from the screenshot. Again, I've done a lot of side-by-side comparisons. So what we're doing right now, especially in the live sessions, is the people that are slightly more ahead in their journey, that have got some levels of consistency, and even those that are there or thereabouts, like doing the break-even dance, we're doing side-by-side comparisons of their journals, right? Even just looking, I was talking to Ibi and Abdu about this as well, even just looking at their journals side by side, same traits, nothing different, same exact positions, 37%, 42%, 58%. The list goes on of discrepancy, and this is over roughly about 15 to 20 trades of doing the same thing, just knowing when to refine, right? But it takes time to get to that stage. This is without any additional positions. This is without the trades that you took a loss in and probably carried the emotion onto the next trade that could have been a break even once you knew how to use it, right? What type of mindset would you have been in to take other positions that you missed out on due to emotion? So there's so many layers to this, even though it's so simple, it's so effective. And it's not something that I think that we're going to need to refine for a good 3 to 5, 7 years. Unless anything drastic changes in the market, we're good with this, and this is scalable. It's got everything. I'm very excited, but at the same time mindful that I explain it in a way that people are going to find it easy to understand. Again, 9.2, really, really simple. This was the screenshot I was talking about prior, right? So you kind of got this, and then you've got the scaling. So you add those things together, you're talking plus 14% on something very simple. And bearing in mind, this actually went on for a little bit longer. However, even that, like, you're not going to be unhappy with that. And it's not to obsess over the number itself, it's the process in getting the number. That's my point that I'm making, right? Pound yen, this is just a ridiculous one. We won't even go into this one, and this is the point I'm making. Forget about the number. Don't think about the 42%. That's not important. It could be 4%. It's the thought process to get to it. Because remember, anyone with no system could literally open up TradingView, not really know much, open up a broker, put some money in, and decide to put a 4 pip stop loss on a trade and randomly get it right. Right? It goes unpunished in the earlier stages. And you might literally go, well, I've made 50%. That might be true, but are you consistently making it? Are you going into excessive amounts of drawdown, right? There's people that come to me and say, oh, I'm going for, like, funding firms, etc., and I've passed. And you see the pass certificate, but it took 120 trades. But what they're telling me is that they're making 10, 20% casually. So why did you need 120 trades? That makes no sense whatsoever. Right, and this is the part about that what you see in the industry is just returns, but you don't see the emotional drawdown to get there and how dangerous that is, especially at higher amounts of capital. But again, nonetheless, that's not important. What's important is this particular trade is a real simple one for those that know what they're looking for. Higher time frame is there, larger structures are there, it's in line with everything. This trade, and there's how many more? I can see even without there, 1, 2, there's probably about 3, 4 maximum. 4 maximum. This is just the one trade. Some of them, they're just going to run. I can't tell you which one it's going to be because no one predicts the market, right? You can have a good idea as to what the direction is. Ones like these, what I love about them is that when you're in them and they run and you refined it at the right time, they are naturally going to hit those numbers. It's not happening every single day, every single week, but when they run, they run. But what I've noticed is the difference is, or what I'm more interested in is, look, the 42%, etc., great. It's the 9%, the 10% in just an extra position in sometimes one day, or if that week. And that is what I love about it. So I've been excited to roll this out again. The silver position was stunning. I got involved in silver. I didn't get the full extent of silver. However, there was more to it as well. Again, it's not about being perfect, and it's not about obsessing over getting the full amount. You might not get the full amount, but it's what is possible out there. So what we're going to do is we're going to explain the content. The guys and girls can go and back test out. We already have students that are a lot further along in their journey. They're already in that testing phase, adding it in, and it is so good to see the level of clarity and understanding they have to be able to do that. So as you can imagine, excitement is an understatement. Why? Because we have our in-house fund. We have every infrastructure you can imagine that's going to help them do that. For me personally, one of my big goals is making sure that I'm always evolving, always keeping sharp. So it ticks off every layer to that. The last layer that I wanted to roll out that you could argue could have been done earlier is the refinement. But the reality is the refinement is not necessarily needed for you to be consistent. I mean, 8% yesterday, there was no refinement involved whatsoever, right? The trades are there. There's returns already. However, in the right hands, the right mindset, and they've done the work and they've got good foundations, they're going to absolutely flourish with this. So yeah, that was solid. And it's just phenomenal to see something that was just right under my nose. How I came to that was because I'm obsessed. It's as simple as that. I can't give you any other answer, but I love what I do, and I've been doing it plus 14 years, and I'll continue to do it. This is me. This is my life. So being able to refine for the sake of refinement. I see traders out here, they've not got a clue. They're refining for the sake of refining, and just because it makes them feel good. It's like, yeah, I'm just working on something. But what? You've not mastered level 1. How you move into level 5 already? And that is where people go wrong. But again, who are you listening to? Where are you getting your guidance from? 9 times out of 10, you're obsessing over quitting your job, and sometimes that's not a good thing. Have ambition, great, do all these things, but at what cost? You know, if you're working at the moment, stop focusing on, but I just want to be a full-time trader for maybe the status or the title. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to be as good as what you think it's going to be. It's more important that you can hold your head up high and say, I am building rock solid foundations, and guess what? At each level that I incrementally move up on, once I'm at the right level and at the right time and I've got the right capital, that's going to do very well for me. And all that infrastructure we have. So I'm very much looking forward to that. So Q2, keep your eyes peeled. And something I want to leave you with is this. Mike Tyson famously once said that fire can either work for you or it can destroy you, right? So you can use fire to what? You can use it for heat, you can use it to cook. It's very valuable, right? But fire in the wrong control, or if it gets out of control, it'll burn you alive. It'll destroy you. It will tear down villages, houses. So just because, and the reason why I say that, just because you have passion, I see it the same way. Just because you have passion, it can either work for you in a really great way and you can use it wisely, or you can over-consume your passion where you're not self-aware enough to realize, well, how does that work for a trader? Well, I've seen it. Like I've said, I've coached one-to-one, dealt with incredible people that I thought had a really switched on mindset. You know, great character, they've got a lot of good morals, very organized, you know, got good structure, they can follow rules, and they put in the work, right? I don't doubt that one bit. However, their passion was so far untamed, if you like, that they didn't master the simple things, because it was like, I need to refine, I need to evolve, I need to refine, and I don't feel like I'm refining, I don't feel like I'm evolving, and that actually got in their way of doing something so simple really well. So just because you've got something doesn't mean that it can't work against you. Same thing with fire, same thing with passion. Learn how to tame it, master one thing, and then you can level up and keep going. If we even think about leveling up in the first place, leveling up is not about knowing 55 different trading systems. Leveling up is just being extraordinary at simple things. Those are the ones that build the wealth, build the money. And if you're a trader, that's what you want.